Hi, I'm Brandon, and I'm back for another movie review with Ben Metcalf from 3 Minute Horror Reviews. We're doing the Child's Play series now. We did the first one last time. Now we're on to Child's Play 2. This one came out in 1990, is it? I think.
Yep, 1990.
1990. So this is a follow-up to the first one, which introduced the world to Chucky, aka Charles Lee Ray. We both gave it a positive review. It's an amazing movie. Now the sequel. This was in the era where sequels were known to suck.
Yep.
It's not so much a thing anymore because they try to make sequels good, but back in this time, most sequels were horrible.
Yeah.
This one was not. It was not horrible. Um, I don't think it was as good as the first movie, but it was still a damn good movie. We'll start with you, Ben. What did you think of it?
Well, I'm going to argue with you on this one because I think that this one was better than the first movie. And
Oh,
in fact, I think that this Child's Play 2 is one of the best horror sequels of all time. Like, it was really, really strong, in my opinion, anyway. It had a different director. The first director, I forgot to mention it in the last one, was a guy named Tom Holland, not the Spider-Man kid. He wasn't born yet, probably. But this one is directed by a guy named John Lafia. So the different director. All the movies have that we're going to be talking about pretty much have different directors, all the same writer. So I believe that this is one of the best horror sequels of all time. I think that their budget was a lot bigger, based on how well the first movie did. They got a lot more money for this one, and there's a lot more. The effects are a lot better. The effects were good in the first one. They're really good in this one. The doll itself, the Chucky doll itself, has a lot more articulation in the face in this one than it did the first one. He can do a lot more things, like he can move his eyebrows around a lot, and he can move his cheeks and his mouth around a lot too, and not just talking. They can do a lot more things with it this time. I think it was really, really well done.
yeah, I agree. I think it's. I don't want to say it's far behind the first one.
Yeah.
My main issue with it is right off the bat. I get it that they may not even have planned a sequel when they made the first one,
Hmm.
and now they're like, oh shit, like how could this evil doll be a secret when these police officers know about it? So they start the movie off with the same little boy Andy,
Yeah.
and of course no one believes his story, and his mom, they're like she went into court and swore that this doll was alive,
Yeah.
and now she's in a mental institution, and they said that the police swept the whole thing under the rug and denied it. It's like what? So after this whole first movie where this cop was fighting Chucky, him and his partner then just totally threw her under the bus and were like, "Hey, she's lying. There was no evil doll." It's like, well, come on, guys, you'll step up and tell people what happened. And so instead, they just allow some poor woman to wind up in a mental institution. Obviously, they did that just to quickly explain away so they could restart over with no one believing the boy. But
Yeah.
it just right off the bat, it's like, come on. It kind of made me mad to just set the tone a bit negative for the entire movie.
Mm. Yeah, it's kind of yucky. It's not nearly as bad as the whole between H2O and Halloween Resurrection thing, where they just completely reversed course on the ending. The
Yeah, oh,
ending
yeah, I
still
saw
happened. Yeah.
that. And yeah, with this one, I could forgive it, I guess, because it is a cool movie, but it is. I don't know if I would have preferred a different story. I mean, they told what they told, but
Hmm.
it might have been interesting that it's like, yeah, there are some people that, even if the cops said that this was real, there would still be people out there that didn't believe it. It wouldn't be like people wouldn't
Yeah.
instantly believe it, but it might have been more interesting rather than going through all the same story beats again of it's becoming increasingly obvious that this toy is alive, but everyone refuses to believe this boy who's so adamant. It's
Yeah,
kind of like you
that's
did that in the
true.
first movie. Now you're just doing it again, but with different elements in there.
Different
So
people.
it's kind of the reason I gave it a bit. It's not quite as good as the first, in my opinion.
All right, I can see that. Did they
Yeah.
mention Chris Sarandon's cop character at all? Because
Oh,
maybe he's in the mental institution too, and the
yeah.
other cop sandbagged all of them.
Yeah, it's just like, yeah, they had two cops that saw it, and they would have like, what did they write in their report? Like they would have had to, when the cops show up and there's a burned apartment and they've been shooting guns and all this, like they would have had to been like, what the hell happened? And what are they
Yeah,
going to say? Like, oh, the 8-year-old boy did it all. Like,
yeah,
they would have had some sort of record, but instead they're just like, let's just in one sentence wipe away all of that and then carry on as usual. In a way, it was fine because the movie was so cool. Like I loved every
yeah.
second of it. But that did kind of make me groan a little bit.
Yeah. In this one,
Yeah,
Sorry, not Tommy Jarvis. I was going to say Andy's all messed up, but he's not Tommy Jarvis messed up. He's just kind of messed up.
yeah. He's like all things considered, he's he's keeping it together, right? He's
Yeah.
not just like breaking down. He he finds the will to continue to fight back and be proactive and everything. And
Yeah,
in
he's
this
pretty
one,
good.
he's in a foster home,
Yeah.
and there's another teenage girl there who's been bouncing around between foster homes. And of course, at first, no one believes in about Chucky, but she eventually finds out herself that he's real. And of course, the parents of this foster home, the dad's kind of a dick, and they just
Yeah.
and he's like, "Fine, we'll get rid of the doll," and he gets rid of it by throwing it down the basement stairs, so it's just laying right there, still in the house. Think somehow this is going to solve the problem.
The two parents in this one, the foster parents, are kind of horror movie alumni too. So Garrett Graham, the guy that plays the dad, the foster dad, he was from Bud the Chud from Chud 2 and from
Okay,
Terror Vision. He was the dad in Terror Vision as well.
okay,
And then the mom is I don't know how you pronounce her last name. I think it's Agouter or Agouté. I don't know if she's French or what. But she played an evil architect in the movie Dark Tower. So they're both kind of horror movie people as well.
okay.
Before we see all of that, though, we do know that Chucky is coming back because for whatever reason, the company, the good guys company, decides that it's a good idea to try and rebuild this doll to figure out what went wrong with it for quality control purposes. And so naturally, um, the guys that are working on the rebuilding, like it's a great idea, right? Not really, because some of the quality control guys die in the process of this thing being rebuilt. Because it is a cursed doll, like he's full of voodoo mumbo jumbo. But he does get rebuilt in the end.
One thing, it's kind of strange. Like I get it that they want to prove, because obviously after the first movie, the little boy and the mom went public with all this killer doll stuff, which
Yeah.
made the company that made the doll look bad. Their share price went down because everyone's like, "Oh, the scary doll, we don't want it." So
Oh,
they want
right.
to prove that, hey, there's nothing wrong with this doll; it's normal. But couldn't they do that without like totally refurbishing the entire thing so it's pristine again? Like they if they still had all the components of it, it just
Yeah.
seems weird. They have to make it look 100% new and then like resell that exact doll. It just
And
seems
I
a bit.
thought that everybody thought it was the kid that did it anyway, not the doll. So, and I had forgotten about the fiduciary responsibility of it. So, you got to protect the shareholders by ensuring that it's not the company's fault at all. But I mean, still, if everybody's blaming this kid for doing that stuff, and the mom is in the mental hospital because she says it was the doll, then why is the doll company even entertaining that, even humoring that thought at all?
Yeah, I don't think they would have to. The kind of people that would believe that,
Yeah,
they would not care about any sort of evidence. They just want to believe what they want to believe. But they needed a reason. It's like, why would Chucky be rebuilt? And honestly, I can't think of a better reason.
yeah,
That's a pretty
the
decent one. So it's like it works.
liability.
It quite makes sense, but it works. And of course,
Yeah.
Chucky just leaves a trail of destruction everywhere he goes. Um, and now he wants to find Andy again because
Yeah.
he needs to transfer his soul into him, and he can only
Yeah.
transfer soul into the first person he revealed himself to.
Yeah.
So he can't just pick some random person. He has to find this one particular boy.
That magic kind of falls apart in the next one, but it also kind of works in the next one too, now that I think more about it. So,
Yeah, we can discuss that when we get to it.
yeah,
But
exactly.
I think they needed a reason. It's like, why would Chucky be so adamant to go after one young boy? Why couldn't he just pick some homeless person? There's just someone that's passed out. Like, he had other options, but it's like, no, it has to be this one person. That's why he's always going after them. And
Yeah.
it's a good enough ploy to make the movie work, I think.
What do you think of the house that he got moved into, the kid, that foster house? Because for a foster family that took on a boy that old, that age, this is the least child-friendly house that I've ever seen. They've got like tchotchkes and decorations and antiques everywhere. Nothing can be touched because everything is breakable. This kid cannot win in this situation.
Yeah, this doesn't seem like a house that's warm to having children there. This seems like an older couple that won't allow anyone under 21 to set foot in their house because they might break something. But I guess they wanted a scary looking house. That's why like the basement. There's some scenes in the
Yeah.
basement with Chucky, so that it's obviously an unfinished basement where you figure if they had a constant stream of kids coming through, they would have a play area down there or
Yeah.
something. Instead, it's just like a spooky dark basement.
They did make this kid feel welcome though by giving him a good guy doll, which seems like an odd choice considering what had just happened with this kid. You know, let's
Actually, they
re-traumatize
didn't.
him.
I think they didn't give it to him. He just found it in the room. You
Oh, it
open the
was there.
closet door
Yeah.
and it fell out. Uh, and that's another thing that that plot point where the older foster girl, the teenage one,
Yeah.
discovers Chucky. It doesn't quite work because what happens is Chucky, the real possessed doll, comes and finds this other good guy doll in the
Yeah.
house, but he wants to replace it, pretend he's that doll. So he takes the other one in the backyard and buries it in the backyard,
Yeah.
and then he takes its place. And then later, the teenage girl takes, because after all, the boy claiming Chucky's real, she's like, let's get rid of it. She takes it out, throws it in the garbage, and then she's sitting in the backyard and on the swings and accidentally kicks up some dirt and finds the other Chucky, or finds the other good guy doll,
Yeah.
Chucky, buried there. And all of a sudden she's like, oh my God. She has some realization. And then she goes back and realizes Chucky's gone from the garbage. But I don't think, what connection would she make? She's probably like, why is there a second good guy doll buried here? That's weird. I don't think that would lead her to believe that that must mean that the other doll is possessed. And I don't think that quite added up.
I wouldn't have made that connection myself, but I'm not a teenage girl named Kyle, so you never know, right? Hey, her
You
name's
really think,
Kyle too.
yeah, it is an odd name. I've never met a female Kyle, but he was a pretty good character and stuff. And I think that scene would have worked without her discovering that doll. She should have just gone
Yeah.
back to the garbage and been like, "Holy shit, he's gone."
So, Chucky does make himself known to Andy. So Andy knows that Chucky's there again. And Chucky starts doing his shenanigans like Brandon was talking about, how he starts getting him in trouble for stuff for breaking things. And then he starts framing him for murders because he starts just doing straight up murders and framing Andy for it again. He's getting blamed for it again. And he kills a bunch of the people that he kills are like he kills the placement lady first because he needs to find out where Andy is first, right?
And that
Um,
lady, funny enough, is in Seinfeld. She's George Costanza's fiance, Susan, her mom.
oh, really? I don't
Right?
even
Yeah,
remember the actress. Yeah,
yeah, pretty sure
that's
that's
funny.
her.
Well, he kills her with a plastic bag. He puts a plastic bag over her head. So,
And that's one issue I kind of have with this
yeah,
movie, and it comes back to the whole problem I have with the setup,
yeah,
is that they're going back to that no one believes Andy again.
yeah,
But it's like how much like how many murders could an 8-year-old commit before you're like, really,
yeah,
this like tiny 8-year-old murdered like a full grown man? And the part where the Kyle, the foster sister, kind of like comes in through the window right as Chucky has Andy tied to the bed. He's trying to
yeah,
transfer his soul into him. So of course Chucky goes dormant, pretends he's a doll, and she finds Andy like tied to the bed. Like, how would he tie
yeah,
himself to the bed? She even brings it up. How did you tie yourself to the bed like that? And Andy's like, no, it's the doll. And of course,
yeah,
absolutely no one believes him.
yeah,
And this over and over, they have this scene, and it's like, no, and it's like sooner or later they'd have to be like, something's up.
yeah,
And even the teenage girl finally realizes it's true, but the parents just don't realize it. And the only time they do is like 5 seconds before Chucky kills them when they see him, and they're like,
yeah.
"Oh my god, it's real!" And then they die. It is just a little bit cheap. I think they could have been smarter with it.
The foster placement lady with the plastic bag, didn't she have her hands free? Because you know what I'd do if a doll put a plastic bag over my head? I'd do this.
Yeah, just pop the yeah, yeah, exactly. And there's a lot of it, and I get it that even someone with murderous intent that was angry at you, even if they're
Yeah,
a foot and a half tall,
yeah,
they could be hard to deal with because even like
yeah.
an angry cat is hard to control.
Well, yeah,
But still, if you're a grown man, Chucky would not be that big of a threat unless he came up to you and you didn't see him. But
yeah,
if you were in a just a full on struggle with him,
yeah.
there's no way that you could
Oh,
not just
yeah,
grab him and pin him down, rip his head off.
yeah,
Like he wouldn't be. And even if he had a knife and was like cutting at you, you could just
yeah,
hold him by the neck, grab his hand with like he's just so small, but he
yeah.
seems to be able to overpower absolutely everyone.
It's so weird. At least the dad in this one, the foster dad, died in a way that you could kind of explain through this. Like he gets knocked down the stairs and
Yeah.
like breaks his neck. And that is something that a doll could do to a person. The shining star of this movie is where we're headed to next, and that's the final battle in the good guys' where factory. So eventually, Chucky he gets Andy. He wants to take Andy to do his little ritual on him in the good guy's factory. I don't know why. I don't remember why he wanted to do it there. And then Kyle kind of tails them to try and save Andy to the warehouse.
And then she did that Indiana Jones roll underneath the garage door that was closing, so she get in
Yeah.
there.
In 1990, when these types of things didn't exist really yet, this place is almost entirely automated. This place. There's like one guy working in the factory, and he's just manning the machines. He's like making sure that everything stays working properly. So it's the perfect place to do a voodoo ritual if you don't want to be interrupted by people, because there's like one guy, and he gets got, by the way.
And I have to say that this is the most unsafe workplace
Yeah.
ever. Like there's just death traps everywhere. There's
Yeah.
just like moving pieces. There's just like boiling plastic spilling. There's so many ways that you could be injured just walking around this place.
Maybe that's why. Maybe that's why nobody works at the place is because it's like a death trap dungeon, right? But the final battle is super, super well done. It's another one of those ones that has a bunch of false ends, like a wrestling match, like, one, two, and then no, he's back up. He's doing something else. But at one point in time, he is half melted and he jumps back out at them, and it looks so damn good. It really does stand up to today's FX too.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, this whole end scene was. It could also be the reason they're there. They just need kind of like in part three. The
Hmm.
whole the whole end climax takes place in a place that they really. It's like why did it have to be there? Because it
Yeah.
looks cool. That's the reason. It just looks really cool. Um, yeah, they do the false starts. There's another death in there where Chucky kills like the guy that comes out to fix the machines, and
Yeah.
there's just a lot of like moving conveyor belts and other things, and then yeah, they do the you think Chucky's dead and he's not. He comes back, and then finally he gets killed by Andy dumping a bunch of it was like hot wax or hot plastic, some sort of hot substance on him and
Yeah.
melting the rest of them.
And he's kind of half biological, half doll, and it looks really goopy and gross. And I don't know who did the effects in this one, but it really um, kind of felt like a Screaming Mad George effect. But almost 100% it wasn't him. Because otherwise everything else would have been goopy too, right? It would have been all bugs and gross and goop and stuff, and this was the only part with that sort of thing in it. So what did you think of this one overall?
I'd overall I'd say like 7.5, maybe even better. Like I think it's just behind the first one. There are elements of it that are better. Like if
Mhm.
they just changed a couple things, but I think they're very close. But I think when I was younger, I liked part two better. But now as I've matured as a filmmaker and stuff, I kind of like the first one better.
Okay.
But they're both very good. This one
Yeah.
just had a bigger budget. They could do more stuff, and this one they kind of got into it quicker because they didn't need as much setup to show him becoming Chucky
Right.
because they did it in the first one, so you can get into the story quicker.
Mhm.
So overall, like it's very good movie. What would you give it?
I give this one an 8 out of 10. It's my favorite one to this point. There are ones that I still haven't seen. Spoiler alert for you guys. So the next time we do recording of some episodes, I'll be first time viewer of several of these ones, like Cult of Chucky and stuff I've never seen. And I've not seen the remake either. So I guess we'll see if I like those ones better. But so far, right now, Child's Play 2 is my favorite in the series. I really like it, think it's great, love the effects. Brad Dourif, still fantastic. Andy was a little bit less of a baby in this one, but he was still a baby. Do we know what happened with Kyle after this one? Do they ever mention her again?
And they didn't in part three. I'm pretty sure they don't.
So maybe she's in the mental hospital too. Maybe it's one of those things like Friday the 13th, where all the final girls are probably going into a mental hospital somewhere where it's just the victims of Jason Voorhees all living together. Just the victims of Chucky. Everybody who thinks this doll is real until I guess he makes his big reveal that he's real in the world. I think they do that in the later ones. Uh, well, he's walking around with kids and all that stuff. Um, maybe there's a mental hospital there somewhere with all Chucky victims in it. Who
Yeah,
knows?
maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll make a sequel of that or a spin-off.
Yeah. And it'll just be those guys. And one of them dresses like Chucky.
All right. Well, thanks for watching, everyone. We'll be back next time to talk about Child's Play 3. So thanks, Ben, for being on the show. Thanks for
Hmm.
watching, everyone. And we'll see you next time.